In this topic, we're going to look at the liver and pancreas, two interesting organs. By the end of this topic, you should be able to answer the questions: what does the liver do? Which organs are associated with the small intestine? Where is bile made, stored, and released? What does bile do? What does the pancreas do? And what is in pancreatic juice? Did you know that your liver performs about 500 different functions? It's the largest internal organ in your body, and it's extremely important. It's so important that you cannot live without your liver. Your liver acts as a chemical processing factory to change most of the food that you eat into molecules that your body can use. And it also gets rid of toxic substances. Now, in the last few topics, we looked at the mouth, esophagus, and stomach. We're going to look at the two organs associated with the alimentary canal, the pancreas and the liver. So if you look at this diagram here, you can see that the liver lies on the right of the stomach, under a sheet of muscle called the diaphragm. So you'll learn more about the diaphragm when we get onto the topic of breathing and respiration. The pancreas lies in the fold of the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine. So see that curve of the small intestine in the diagram? And then that yellow feathery-like structure, that's the pancreas. So here's a much nicer zoomed in image. You can see that the liver's on the right of the stomach, and the pancreas lies in the fold of the small intestine called the duodenum. Notice how there's a green blob-like structure attached to the liver. This is the gallbladder. It stores bile that is produced by the liver. So remember to fill the words in purple in your notes. So what does the liver do? Well, the main function of the liver is to detoxify the blood. This means that it breaks down substances such as drugs into harmless forms. These harmless forms travel to the kidney, where they are secreted through the kidneys as urine. So in the last topic, we looked at how acidic chyme is formed in the stomach. So chyme or chyme is a mixture of watery food with mucus, acids, and gastric juices. It passes from the stomach into the small intestines at regular intervals. The liver produces bile. This is then stored in the gallbladder and released into the duodenum by the bile duct. Pancreatic juice enters the duodenum from the pancreas via the pancreatic duct. So notice how the bile duct and the pancreatic duct join together, and then that enters into the duodenum. So where's the bile made? Well, the liver makes bile, and bile is made in part from old red blood cells. The bile is stored in the gallbladder. So the gallbladder stores and concentrates the bile, and then it releases it into the duodenum to help absorb and digest fats. So fill the word in your notes: gallbladder. So when there's food, the bile is released into the duodenum through the bile duct. So here's the liver. Can you see the gallbladder between the lobes of the liver that have been moved away? So what does bile do? Well, bile does not contain any enzymes. It does assist in digestion by doing two things. Bile salts neutralize the acid from the gastric juice, and this will help the enzymes coming from the pancreas because they do not work in acidic conditions. So it contains sodium hydrogen carbonate or alkaline salts. So bile emulsifies fats. This means that they reduce the surface tension of fat. So it breaks the fat down into lots of smaller droplets, as you can see in this diagram here. This increases the surface area for the enzyme lipase. So we say that this is mechanical digestion. So notice how the fat is being broken down into smaller droplets. This is called emulsification. So fill these words in your notes. Bile doesn't contain any enzymes. It emulsifies fats, and it contains alkaline salts, which help to neutralize the acidic chyme or chyme moving into the duodenum. Excess glucose is also stored in the liver as glycogen. What do you think the pancreas does? Well, the pancreas produces hormones, and this is important for glucose regulation, which we'll look at later on. In terms of digestion, it produces pancreatic juice that is involved in digestion. Pancreatic juice contains alkaline salts and digestive enzymes. So the alkaline salts neutralize the acids from the gastric juice, which was in the stomach. Can you remember what the alkaline salts do? They neutralize the gastric acid. Then you've got three important digestive enzymes that you need to remember. Pancreatic amylase, protease, which is trypsin, and lipase. These enzymes don't work well in an acidic pH. So that's why you've got alkaline salts to neutralize the acid from the stomach. So let's have a look at each enzyme in detail. Carbohydrates are digested in the mouth, remember by salivary amylase, and in the small intestine. So amylase, salivary amylase in the mouth, and pancreatic amylase from the pancreas break down starch into maltose. Proteins are digested in the stomach and small intestine, so protease enzymes break down proteins into amino acids. Digestion of fat in the small intestine is helped by bile, which is made in the liver. So bile breaks the fat into small droplets that are easier for the lipase enzymes to work on. So that's emulsification. The lipase enzymes break down the fats into fatty acids and glycerol. So fill these words in your notes. Pancreas lies in the fold of the duodenum. It secretes digestive juice called pancreatic juice. Proteins are digested by trypsin and chymotrypsin. Carbohydrates are digested by pancreatic amylase. Fats and lipids are digested by pancreatic lipase. If I went too quickly just now, just press pause. Pancreas also secretes hormones. The most well-known one is insulin. And insulin reduces glucose in the blood by converting it into glycogen. So this means it helps to regulate the blood glucose level. So in summary, we looked at what the liver does, which organs are associated with the small intestines. We looked at the liver and the pancreas and the gallbladder. We looked at where bile is made. Remember, it's made in the liver and it's stored in the gallbladder, released into the duodenum. What bile does, what the pancreas does, and then what is in the pancreatic juice. And that concludes our lesson. The end.